If you want to be seen as a strong, respected, and confident person, your words must reflect that ambition. It's not enough to aspire internally. You must convey that ambition through your voice, your message, and your speaking style. I've spent years learning up close right at the heart of the action, specifically inside meetings led by top executives. I've seen with my own eyes the stark differences in how true leaders who are actually listened to speak compared to those whose words are ignored. The skills I'll share aren't just techniques, they're turning points in how you communicate. The first one is a bit tough but fundamental. Stop speaking just to impress others and start speaking to lead. Real leaders undergo a profound mental shift. I am a leader, even if they don't hold the title yet. Others, however, feel like guests at someone else's table. They speak with excessive caution, doubting themselves. That uncertainty is evident in their voice, their pauses, and how they present their ideas. If you want to instill certainty in your communication, start with something simple. Say what you believe. Don't clutter your speech with phrases like, "I think" or "I feel." These words hide your confidence and dilute the clarity of your vision. You're speaking, of course you think and feel. You don't need to justify every sentence. The leaders I trust speak from a clear perspective, built on experience and conviction in what they see. So instead of saying, I think this is good, say, "This is the best choice." Instead of, "I feel like we might succeed," say, "This strategy will deliver results." These small tweaks make a massive difference in your credibility. They don't erase your personality. They highlight your clarity and vision, giving your words tangible confidence. The second point, excessive emotion makes you seem nervous and unstable. We often say, high emotion, low logic. You've probably noticed that people who overreact, blow up every problem, and constantly talk about what's wrong are rarely surrounded by successful individuals. They usually don't manage strong relationships or lead impactful projects. Why? Because drowning in emotion cripples your ability to use logic effectively. Good decisions require inner calm. True leaders handle pressure without losing balance. They make rational decisions quickly and trust their choices, not because they're reckless, but because they're deeply aware that their decisions aren't driven by emotional swings, but by data and facts. Just this week, someone overreacted to a minor situation in a way that unsettled the entire room. Their emotional outburst made me instantly doubt their leadership ability. They couldn't handle a moment of rejection or disagreement without lashing out. They didn't ask questions or show understanding. Over time, I noticed the same pattern in other areas of their life. Unbalanced decisions, unstable outcomes, and a lack of trust from those around them. That's what happens when emotion overshadows logic. It weakens your image, shakes self-confidence, and distances you from real success. Because leadership isn't just a position, it's a relationship, and trust is the foundation of any relationship. So don't let your emotions obscure your message. Here's a mental image I always use in heated moments. Try it. Imagine you're a blade of grass. Yes, a soft blade that bends under the weight of a rock but springs back. Unlike a toothpick which snaps under the same rock. Why? Because the toothpick is rigid and brittle while the grass is flexible. In tough situations, don't be the toothpick that shatters under pressure. Be the grass. Receive the moment, bend slightly, observe, and return stronger. Not because you're indifferent, but because you choose to react intelligently, not emotionally. Listen carefully, let emotions pass through you, then respond with calm wisdom, without crumbling or hardening. That's the difference between those who break at the first challenge and those who lead even in the tensest moments. The third point, a game changer: authority. That quiet force that makes people stop interrupting you and listen intently. Not because you talk a lot, but because when you speak, your words carry weight. Real leaders don't fill time with words, they show up with unmistakable presence. Their tone alone makes everyone pause to grasp why what they're saying matters. When you start viewing every conversation as a chance to leave an impact, your entire approach shifts. No more random chatter, no obligatory attendance. Every minute of your time has value, and you know it. You have a long to-do list, hundreds of emails waiting, presentations pending. Yet you chose to be in this meeting. Why? If you don't have a clear answer to that question, leave. Don't waste your time or diminish your worth. A smart leader doesn't attend to fill a seat, they attend to make a difference. Personally, I never enter a room without knowing exactly why I'm there. I always ask myself, what's the goal? This mental compass gives me quiet authority the moment I arrive, because I'm not there randomly. I know exactly what I came to do. Most people mentally check out of meetings even while physically present. They reply to emails, pretend to listen, unaware of why they're there. Leaders? Entirely different. They know the workplace is full of problems, but their time is only spent on what matters. That's why their communication is deliberate and their words precise. If you feel undervalued, reconsider how you invest your time and how you show up. When you choose to be somewhere, be there fully. Speak with confidence, express your vision because you've thought it through and decided this is worth your mark. Don't attend to watch, attend to lead. When you do that, you'll naturally steer the conversation, not by raising your voice, but through clarity of purpose. The fourth point, a hallmark of strong leaders, mastering the art of questions. It's not about having all the answers, it's about guiding the dialogue towards solutions with smart questions. In fact, leaders don't dominate because they know everything. They dominate because they know how to uncover what they don't know. They don't fear ambiguity, they dive into it to light the way. Every time you face a complex problem, recognize there's a lack of clarity. There's an unexplored angle. True leaders ask questions that break stagnation and reveal blind spots. Think of it like untangling a knotted chain. You work through it link by link until you reach the core. That's your job as a leader, to untangle knots, not ignore them. People with strong leadership presence don't enter meetings to offer ready-made solutions. They ask questions that open minds and accelerate deep understanding. Sometimes you won't have a clue about the next step, and that's normal. It's not your job to always have a roadmap. Your job is to start with the questions that guide you there. Test yourself. Do your questions push the team to think? Instead of a generic, "What do you think?" try, "What data do we need to make this decision?" Instead of, "Is everything okay?" ask, "What's the biggest obstacle to progress right now?" These slight phrasing shifts produce radical improvements in results. Let me share something personal. As a child, my parents taught me a game called the question game. Simple, but powerful. At any social event, my mom would send me to a guest, usually an intimidating adult, and ask me to pose 3 questions. I remember my heart racing as she'd say, "Go talk to Mr. Suleiman." I'd approach shyly and ask, "Mr. Suleiman, I heard your son loves baseball. Is that true?" Then, based on his reply, I'd try to ask a second question. Often I'd freeze at the second question and return to my mom flustered. She'd smile, suggest a third question, and send me back to finish the game. In those small moments, I was learning how to keep a conversation alive, how to ask questions that made the other person engage, not just answer. I didn't realize it then, but I was training in one of the most critical skills I'd later need as a leader. That simple game, those family drills, made a difference in my self-confidence and ability to lead conversations in a way that showed I was present, understood, and sought deeper insight. Asking questions isn't just a tactic, it's a way of life. It's the smart leader's tool and the key to real influence. The 5th point, a common mistake people make unconsciously: over-explaining. I'll never forget the first time I had to fire an employee. I was in my early 20s and was given strict instructions. Use a specific phrase, get straight to the point, and avoid long, pointless discussions. But what happened? The opposite. I kept talking and talking. I told him how great he was, how much I loved working with him, how grateful I was for every moment we'd shared. The more I rambled, the more uncomfortable I felt. I wasn't firing an employee. I was creating a sentimental moment at the middle of the day. It ended with no decision made. I had to try again the following week. I felt embarrassed and awkward, far from the demeanor of a confident, decisive leader. The truth is simple. When you know what you need to say it clearly. Be kind but firm. Not because you're harsh, but because you respect yourself and the other person. Over-explaining isn't empathy, it's a sign of hesitation. Real leaders don't talk a lot, they talk with impact. Think of it like this: you're on a plane about to land, but suddenly it climbs back into the air. The person in front of you has finished their point but restates it in new wording. As the listener, this is exhausting. It feels awkward. That tension shows in their tone, their delivery, their buried need for approval. So instead of softening your note or over-justifying, be direct. Remember, constantly seeking validation steals your authority. Strong executives aren't powerful just because they're kind. They're powerful because they're clear and confident. Be like them. Don't wait for permission to be confident. Take your space and own it. Here's a bonus tip. Don't just listen to how successful people communicate. Watch them. Notice how they sit, move, control their physical space. Their posture, hand gestures, eye contact, all silent signals that say, "I'm confident." It's easy to straighten your shoulders, sit tall, and look confident before you even feel it. Personally, I spent a long time learning to project my voice with confidence. I used to whisper. Why? Because I wasn't sure of my own opinion. I didn't feel I had the right to be heard, so I lowered my voice as if apologizing for existing. It wasn't just in the words, it was in how I delivered them. So I worked on it consciously. I didn't force myself to yell. I gradually raised my voice, expressed ideas with conviction, used body language to support my words, and spoke clearly enough for everyone to hear. It wasn't quick or easy. It took months, because clarity isn't just a skill. It's the backbone of effective communication. So when you catch yourself behaving in ways that weaken your presence, slouching, fidgeting, lowering your voice, remind yourself the person you want to be doesn't communicate like this. Adjust immediately. Act as if you're already that person. Master these 5 skills and you'll communicate with more confidence than 99% of people. Until the next video, keep your strength, your wisdom, and above all, your honesty with yourself. Good luck.